Hello guys, we are in the economic planning chapter. The topic is structural bottleneckness of Indian economy. This is the continuation of the part 1 session. We are in the part 2 session. So in the part 1 session, I already had explained you what is meant by Industrial Policy Resolution 1956, how Industrial Policy Resolution 1956 has divided the industries into 3 groups, the categorization of industries into 3 groups, and how exactly the industrial policies between 1950 to 1990 discouraged the private sector and encouraged the public sector. As a continuation to this, what we need to understand is this trade policy. This is also part of our industrial policy, because if you look at any industries or if you look at any economy in the world, generally the industrial development of any country is also based on your trade policy or your exports and imports. If any country is doing more exports when it comes to the industrial goods, we can say that country is industrially bit developed. Or if any country is importing more industrial goods than it exports, we can say that country is industrially less developed. Example, today I can give you the example of China. Most of the industrial goods in the world, they're actually produced in China and they're exported from China. And if you look at the Chinese imports and exports, the industrial exports of China is much greater than the imports of China. But whereas the scenario is quite opposite when it comes to the Indian economy. Why? The reason is the type of industrial policies that we followed between 1950 to 1990. And when it comes to the trade policy, as I told you, the exports and imports of a nation is quite competent and important to understand the industrial policies of that country. When it comes to the trade policy of India, the trade policy that we followed between 1950 to 1990 as part of our industrial policy resolutions were import substitution policy. What is exactly meant by import substitution? What is meant by substitution? Replacing something with something, right? That is nothing but substitution. Imports, you know, whatever you are buying from other countries to or into the India, whatever the goods that you are bringing from other countries into the India, that is nothing but imports. Import substitution means it's a trade policy. What is the aim of it? It is aimed to promote economic growth by restricting the imports that competed with the domestic products in developing countries. I'll give you a best example so that you will understand this better. When it comes to import substitution, let's take the example of this. In India, an Indian company is producing a TV. Same way, a United States of American company, it is exporting a TV to India. In India, the Indian made TV cost is 6,000 rupees. Let's think before 1990, around in 1980, the Indian TV cost is 6,000 rupees. Whereas the USA's TV cost is again same 6,000 rupees. So definitely, which one you will buy? You will buy USA TV because they give you with more quality. When it comes to the quality concern, Indian TV quality is just 70% out of 100, whereas USA's TV quality is 100%. So which one you buy? You prefer this one? If everybody is preferring this one, then Indian TV company which is manufacturing the TVs in our India, it will close down, right? So now we have brought this import substitution policy. What is this import substitution policy? We put extra taxes on this TV. The taxes is around 3,000 rupees. So what is the final MRP now? 9,000 rupees. Now the Indian TV is just 3,000 rupees. There are no extra taxes on this Indian TV. Now which one you prefer? You prefer 6,000 rupees Indian TV rather than the United States America's TV. Why? Because it is bit costlier. Not bit costlier, 50% higher the price of an Indian TV. Now we have given an external incentive to the Indian company manufacturing this TV so that the people of India will buy the Indian TV rather than the USA's TV. This is nothing but import substitution. Instead of allowing the imports, let us substitute these imports with Indian manufactured goods. I'm repeating again. Instead of allowing the imports, let us substitute the Indian made products with the imports. That is import substitution policies. Let us substitute the Indian product with imported product. So to do that, what we need to do? What we have to do? To do that, we have to simply put more tariffs and quotas, that is nothing but customs duties, on imported goods. This is nothing but import substitution policy. See here, the import substitution approach substitutes externally produced goods and services with locally produced ones. What is the advantage of this policy? The Indian companies would be encouraged, or Indian companies would be promoted, and the foreign products would be given a stepmotherly treatment. The Indian products would be promoted as well. The foreign products would be given a stepmotherly treatment. Because of this, the Indian companies, they'll produce a lot of goods. But here, one point we forgot. One point we didn't expect. One point which ruined our industries. One point which took away the quality of Indian products. What was that? Imagine if for the next 10 years, if we promoted this Indian made TV instead of USA's quality TV, then what the Indian made TV company or Indian company which is manufacturing this TV will do? It will deteriorate quality to increase the profits. Once it deteriorates quality, still people will buy this TV. Why? Because there is a monopoly on this manufacturing company. Other than this company, no company is producing the TVs. There is no competitor to this company. For example, if there is only Pulsar bike in the Indian market, if there is no other bike available, if Pulsar bike is monopoly, then people will certainly buy the Pulsar bike, even though it is having some quality issues. Because when there is no comparison, when there is no competitive product in the market, you cannot find what is the quality improvement or what is quality deterioration. You will never come to know. How you are saying an Apple phone is better than any other phone? Because you are comparing the Apple phone with other phones. If there is no phone for comparison, then whichever phone in your hand, that is best for you, isn't it so? If there is no comparison for a particular product, that particular product, it is the best product in the market. The same thing happened when it comes to the Indian products also. Because there is no foreign competition with the Indian products, because because we are not allowing them as part of our import substitution policy, because of that lack of competitiveness, the Indian companies, they never produced quality items. That's why you see, you tell me one Indian product which is so qualitative in the world. When I say United States of America, you will say Apple, Apple phone, Apple watch, Ford car, etc. When I say South Korea, you will say Samsung, Kia car, Hyundai, etc. Or when I say Finland, you will say Nokia phone. You tell me one phone which we are manufacturing in India, which is world famous. Don't say Jio. Jio is not a phone. Even though Jio, even if there is a phone, that is not a smartphone actually. It's a very small phone. Even if they introduce smartphone, they cannot beat the market. But you look at China. China is producing cheap and best products. Even though people know that quality of these Chinese phones like Oppo, Redmi and etc., they are not at par with companies like Samsung and Apple. But still people are buying them. Why? Because they are coming at a cheaper price. So India, they couldn't produce this type of products. We are unable to produce the cheap and best products. We are unable to produce the best products with best quality. Why? Because we never allowed competitiveness. If there is no second ranker, there is no first ranker. Isn't it so? When everybody is competing, then one final person will win. If there is only one competitor, he is first and he is last also. So because of this import substitution policy, the quality products were never made in India. That is the reason why the quality was deteriorated because of lack of competition. But anyway, if you look at this, import substitution policy can also discussed as a policy strategy that attempts to utilize the underused capacities, reduce regional unemployment or protect infant industries. To protect the new industries in India, we reduced the competition from the foreign countries. We reduced the competition from the private sector companies. We gave more importance to our own industries. So to support the Indian industries, we brought this policy. Because of this policy, what are the outcomes? Promotion of domestic industry. Yes, the moment you give a push, the moment you encourage the Indian companies with this policy, definitely the domestic industries were promoted. Employment generation. When the number of industries increase, the number of employment opportunities will also certainly increase. Promotion of industrialization. If more and more industries are started, yes, definitely the industrialization will happen, and it happened. Production of consumer goods. What exactly meant by consumer goods here? Any good which the consumer uses. For example, this shirt is a consumer good, this watch is a consumer good, this mic is a consumer good, this digital board is a consumer good, that camera which is recording my voice, it's a consumer good, the toothpaste that you are using in the morning, it's a consumer good, the chappal that you are wearing, it's a consumer good, any good which you use. Remember, consumer goods production is possible when there is huge investments. Unfortunately, in India, we are producing consumer goods, but we are not producing the consumer goods for the whole population. Most of the consumer goods today we are using, all of them, most of them, they are foreign goods. But anyway, we have produced some consumer goods. An improvement in balance of payments. Because of this, we discouraged the imports. At the same time, we have encouraged some exports. Then definitely when exports are higher than imports, or when you try to increase your exports more than your imports, so definitely that would give a better chance to the economy. So balance of payment, what exactly meant by the balance of payment, I will explain in the concerned class. But balance of payments, in the sense, you have to remember this: exports and imports, that is nothing but balance of payments. So definitely because of this import substitution policy, there was some positive, but at the same time there was a huge negative also. What was that negative? I told you, the quality of the Indian products deteriorated. There was a lack of competition in the Indian market, and we never allowed private sector. So private sector, it was discouraged, and there was a monopoly in some sectors. What is meant by monopoly? There would be only one company. See, before 1990, if you want to communicate with any of your family members, there was only BSNL. I clearly remember at the time of 1992, if I am not wrong, me and my mother, we used to go to a public booth to speak to our grandmother. So in 1992, that time, we used to have only the telephone booths, right? So these telephone booths, they'll give you only landline number. So you'll have to wait in the line, and then you have to press the number. But today you see, with a simple touch, now you can see the person in the WhatsApp. But those days, it was only two companies which allowed us to communicate to the other people. What was that? BSNL, that is in most of the South India. MTNL, that is most of the time it is in North India. Only these things, Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited, isn't it so? So that is the only company which allowed you to communicate with other people. But today, n number of companies, private sector companies today, isn't it so? So that is what? Monopoly. Earlier, telecommunication monopolized by these two companies. But today there is no monopoly. But that monopoly we allowed because of these policies. So these are the negatives, and these are the positives of our import substitution policy. So in this, the first question that appears to us as part of the Indian industrialization, that is, why we choose, or why we had chosen the public sector for industrialization. In the part 1 of this class, I already explained to you. Instead of the private sector, we allowed public sector to take the responsibility of the industrialization. And we gave more importance to the public sector rather than the private sector, as part of the IPR 1956 also explained this. Why? Why we had chosen this public sector for industrialization? Why there are more than 350 plus public sector units, and if you include everything, around 800 public sector companies are there, including the state and center. Why these many public sector industries are allowed in India? What was the logic behind this? Let us understand. To build a self-reliant economy. What exactly meant by this self-reliance? I already explained this as part of the goals of planning. Go back to that goals of planning class, you will get more understanding on this. What is meant by this self-reliant economy? Not depending on anyone. Generally in the economy, we have different types or categories of industries. For example, basic, heavy, capital goods. Without these, you cannot build a resilient economy, right? Basic industries in the sense they are basic in nature. With these industries only you can create other industries. Heavy industries in the sense heavy machineries like BHEL, Bharat Heavy Electrical Limited, SAIL, Steel Authority of India Limited, GAIL, something like this. Capital goods industries in the sense, capital goods industries, they are the lifeline of the nation. With these industries only you can create more other industries. If you don't have these industries, then you will have to rely on other countries for the imports. So that will increase your import bill. So you will go into the negative balance of payments. So these industries, they are primary. There is one more industries that is called consumer goods industries. Apart from these industries, most of the industries that we use directly, that is consumer goods. Any good that we use in our daily life is a consumer good. But before this, these industries are very important. Basic industry like steel, cement. Without cement, can you bring any buildings? Can you lay down any road? Can you construct a bridge? No. Or can you construct a building without steel? No. Can you give electricity without BHEL, the transformers? No. Right? So basic heavy and capital industries, they are important in the initial days of the industrialization. When it comes to the capital goods industries, they are important for consumer utilization. In India, we are able to produce these industries because of our industrial policies, but we are unable to bring the consumer industries in India. So as far as the industrialization is concerned, when it comes to the self-reliant, we are self-reliant more or less. But when it comes to consumer industries, today we are dependent on foreign countries rather than the Indian companies itself. So in that context, definitely we have reached the self-reliance when it comes to capital, basic and heavy industries due to the second 5-year plan under the Mahalanobis model. But whereas when it comes to the consumer industries, we never did good in this. To prevent economic concentration of economic power in few private hands. If you look at your Indian polity, the article number 39 clause C of the Indian Constitution, what it says? Directive principles of state policy is nothing but this, right? That limiting the concentration of economic concentration or means of production in the limited hands, which means if you allow private sector, then private sector will create the monopoly in the economy. Few companies, they will be having the larger wealth. Actually, we are against this policy. Today you go to United States of America, which are the top 10 companies in US which are commanding their economy? Google, Facebook, right? Amazon, Elon Musk Tesla company, and companies like Ford. So these are the best companies in Microsoft, sorry. These are the best companies which are commanding. In India, hardly you can say Tata, Reliance, Birla. Today we are moving into that way. Imagine if we had given this in 1947, if we allowed private sector, then private sector wealth will increase. If more private sector wealth is increasing, there would be a gap in the economy. That is generally we call it as economic inequality. You see today, what is the Mukesh Ambani salary per second? 1 second, Mukesh Ambani's income is 2 lakhs. Mukesh Ambani's per second income is equal to 3 years salary or 3 years income of a common labor in India. Whatever the Mukesh Ambani earns in 1 second, that much of money a normal labor can earn in 3 years. So this is nothing but what? Economic inequality. Are you understanding my point? This economic inequality, how it will happen? When you allow more private sector. So we didn't want to bring that type of economic inequality in the initial days of our independence. That's why we restricted the private sector. But it went in a wrong way. That's a different concept altogether. And to set up industries in backward regions, you tell me, is there any private sector company in this country which would start the industries in rural areas? Where the Swiggy was started in rural area or urban area? Where the Zomato was started in rural area or urban area? Where the Ola and Uber were started in rural area or urban area? So rural areas, they are not preferable to private sector industries, but public sector, because it is under the control of the government, they can start these industries in the backward regions. So to start industries in the backward regions, to spread the benefits of industrialization. What is that? The benefits of industrialization, whatever the profits that you get from the industries, these profits, if they have to go to the people, then these profits must be in the pocket of the government, not in the pocket of the private hands. For example, if I have started one company, if that company reached 1,000 crores of the revenue, then that revenue will stay with me. But if this 1,000 crores of revenue is with the government, by starting a government company, the government will utilize this money for the development of the society and to create sufficient levels of employment. So if the government started industries, generally industries are two types: labor oriented industries, capital oriented industries. Capital oriented industries in the sense they prefer more machines than men. Labor oriented industries in the sense they prefer more men than machines. If one machine is replacing 100 people, capital industries will prefer that machine. Whereas when it comes to the labor, instead of bringing that machine, they'll go with the labor itself. For example, all of you know about Decathlon company. Recently, I went to one Decathlon that showroom. Once I did some shopping, I bought some chota mota items. Then I went for the billing counter. There was no billing counter in the Decathlon. Then I asked them, where is the billing counter? They said, sir, Decathlon, it is a new innovation. We don't have a billing counter in our showroom. You do one thing, you download the app of the Decathlon. You yourself can pay the bill by scanning through the Decathlon app. So I did the scanning, I paid the money, then it gave me a QR code. When I showed that QR code at the exit, they sent me out. You see, if you have to put one billing counter, you need some 10 computers. 10 into 20, at least 20 people on shift basis. They removed all these with one single app. That is called capital oriented industries. But whereas when it comes to labor oriented means you can give employment to 10 people. So government prefers labor oriented, whereas private sector prefers capital oriented. So if you had gone for private sector industries in 1947-56 that time, you would have brought companies, but they are capital oriented industries, but not labor. When you have labor oriented industries, you can create more employment opportunities, right? To sell goods at reasonable prices. Definitely, if the government is selling any good, it is always at reasonable price. Best example, during the festival times when you are traveling, you take the state running bus service, you take the private service. The state running bus service, they'll charge you the same charge what they were taking from you 1 month before also. If the charge from one place to another place, if the ticket cost or price is 600 rupees, the government service will never increase that price even though there is a huge demand. But whereas when it comes to the private sector company, they'll increase according to the demand and supply. The same ticket which is costing you 600 rupees in normal days, during the festival season, in the private sector bus service, this would become 2000 rupees. Isn't it so? But the public sector will never do that. So to sell goods at reasonable prices, any good. Invest in areas where private sector is not interested. For example, private sector, they'll never lay down roads. They are never interested in transport, low cost housing. They'll never do that. Private sector, if it is doing housing, it generally called as real estate. But whereas as part of the Indira Awas Yojana or Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana today, we are giving the double bedroom flats for just 1 lakh rupees. How this is possible? Because that is done by the government, not the private sector. So private sector, wherever the private sector is not interested, the government will put the investments there, like drinking water facilities, road, transport, low cost housing, etc. To attain the commanding heights of the economy. In the part 1 itself, I explained this to you. To control the economy as a regulator, to increase the economy to the new levels when it comes to the GDP, we need a resilient public sector. So that is nothing but commanding heights of the economy. So with these intentions, we envisage that private sector would do better for the improvement of Indian GDP. Unhampered way of transforming India into a developed country. But unfortunately, there were some hiccups, but to some extent we succeeded also. So when it comes to some questions, you can see, consider the following statements regarding reservation of industries under IPR. I already told you, Schedule A industries set up under the provision are known as central public sector undertakings. That I told you, exclusively under the public sector. Schedule B industries set up under the provision was supposed to take up initiatives with more expansive follow-up by the private sector. I explained you, follow-up is nothing but Supplementary role of the private sector. Schedule C, industries which were exempted from the Industrial Development and Regulation Act. I told you we put them under the licensor system. All three are correct statements. Then all of the above is the answer. So this is the end of your session. Thank you. We will again meet in the next concept.